Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the BFNL Footy Show for another week. Great to be back with you once again, talking all things Ballarat Football Netball League for another week here on the BFNL website. Sean Kelly's my name, in the host chair as always. Joining me back in the co-host chair for this week, it's great to have Liam Brady back on board this week. Brades, welcome back.
Thanks, Shawnee. Good to be back, mate. Got a week of some sunshine up north, mate, so back to some cold weather back here, mate. But we kept a really close look at the results from the weekend, mate. Some interesting results, and certainly pretty even apart from Lake Windermere at the top.
Yeah, certainly is at the moment. And thanks to Shane Snibson, obviously, for coming on and filling your seat last week, Brades, and did a fantastic job. Good to get that insight from a senior coach.
Oh, it's good to see Snibbo came on. He's obviously done a really good job at Sebastian's been there. It's great to see him being rewarded with a couple of wins this season so far. The win was against Darley, was no doubt a highlight a couple of weeks ago, and I think they've obviously lost some games by some margins this year, but I think they've been really competitive in a lot of games they've lost as well. So things are turning around there, and obviously their reserves are going really well. The reserves are currently fifth on the ladder, so they should play finals footy. So he's done a really good job at Sebastian so far this year, and great to see him on the show last week.
It was indeed, and he did something that neither of us have done in quite a long time on the show. It was a little word called research. So good to see he came with the gun loaded, unlike us that basically just wing it every week as we do. But we're going to start this week talking about a couple of the high achievers within the Ballarat Football Netball League. The Vic Country Under-19 side selected during the week, and we're very pleased to announce that two BFL players selected in that side, Luke Delahaye from the Darley Footy Club and Ben Lusby from the East Point Football Club as well. Selected in that final 25, Brades. Great reward for a couple of players who played some really good footy this year.
Yeah, it is good reward. I think both these young players have been consistent at club level. You've got to obviously play well, for Ballarat, but also, play really well throughout the season as well. I know the selectors just don't look at that one individual game. The boys play at league level, so they've obviously had really good seasons. Ben Lusby's a player that quite a talented sportsman. I know he's a really good cricketer, and his football has really come on the last year or so. Played a year in the Rebels last year and did pretty well. So for those players to get the opportunity to, I suppose, impress at a high level, certainly gives themselves a chance to obviously put their names out there. And you never know, there could be a few recruiters along with some of those games.
Definitely will be.
Hopefully they can play well on the day.
Yeah, well done to Luke and to Luz for their selection in that Vic Countryside. I think it's this weekend that they're playing.
That's right, this weekend.
This weekend at the Harry Trott Oval, I believe, is where they normally play, somewhere around there. So, lack of research just coming through at the moment, just winging it as we go along on the BFL Footy Show this week. Talking point number 2, a couple of really, really important wins last week for a couple of clubs, starting with the Darley Footy Club, who got themselves up and about last week with the win that they had to have over East Point, puts them back into the top 6, and with their run home, they needed to get that victory if they want to defend their premiership.
Yeah, the most pleasing thing for Darley on the weekend was they were challenged. They were 25 points down at half-time, and they've come back and turned that 25-point deficit at half-time into about a 4 or 5 goal win. So their second half was fantastic. I know they've had some inconsistent results so far this season. Look, Sebastian beat them a couple of weeks ago. They had some disappointing losses at the start of the season, but I think they've shown in patches this year that they can play some really good footy. And I'll tell you what, if they finish 6th on the ladder, I wouldn't want to finish 3rd because I wouldn't be surprised if they can win a final or 2 this year. They obviously played.
They know how to win finals.
They played their best football last year at the right time of year. So I'm assuming that they'll play their best football again in that September time slot. If they can recapture some of that, their good form they've shown at patches this season so far, they can challenge anyone.
It's a really good point that you make, because round 17 last year, East Point upended them at the Eastern Oval, and we were starting to think, well, that's Darley just about done and dusted. They came back the next week, they beat Redan in round 18, and that basically kicked them off, because from there, they were unstoppable throughout the finals.
Yeah, to see Mitch Banner kick 6 goals in the weekend, he's obviously a very good player and a handy recruit for the club. So, look, I think if they can get their best players playing good footy, that's the most important thing. We know that their top 5 or 6 players are really important. Jake Edwards played on the weekend.
He did.
So, if they can get some continuity into those top line players, they'll be hard to beat.
They will indeed. The other big game from the weekend, North Ballarat City taking on Sunbury as our McDonald's footy tries to roll away thanks to McDonald's Ballarat. Similar storyline. Sunbury in control of the game at half-time, in control of the game at three-quarter time, and North City comes storming home at the end of the game to get over the line and get a really, really important win.
Yeah, Sunbury will be really disappointed with this result. Probably a chance for them to say the third position up at the moment. They weren't able to do that in the weekend, and look, North City being a little bit inconsistent at times this year as well. But they showed in the weekend in the second half that they're certainly going to be a threat come September. They'd be wrapped with that result. It gives them, I suppose, first crack at third position at the moment. It's probably theirs to lose in terms of dropping further down the ladder. So I think Jordan Burke will be really pleased with that performance in the weekend, and look, they're going to be a challenger come September, no doubt as well.
Yeah, Jordan Burke, one obviously doing a fantastic job in the coaching box, but on the field as well.
He's been good.
He was one of the big moves, moved himself into the ruck to take on Kovacevic, who was absolutely killing them. What I heard about that game was David Kovacevic, if they're giving out 3-2-1s, he would have got all 6 on the weekend. He was that good. So for Jordan Burke to come in and nullify him a little bit in the last quarter, and then Derek Micallef started doing Derek Micallef things as well, and that was all she wrote from there.
Yeah, and I suppose best wishes to Josh Bromley Lynch as well. He hurt his shoulder. Would have popped out, so hopefully he can make a recovery and get back at some stage this season as well. Let's
hope so. Good to see hopefully we can see one of the league's really good young talents back on the field as soon as possible.
Yep.
Talking point number 3 this week, multicultural round in the Ballarat Football Netball League, Liam, and a really big luncheon happening this weekend. From an AFL Goldfields perspective, obviously it's a region-wide themed round, so really big luncheon happening this Saturday up in Melton as well. Tell us a little bit about what's happening.
Yeah, so we've got a multicultural luncheon, as you said, Sean, happening at the Arnold's Creek Reserve. Melton Centrals are playing there this weekend, and the luncheon will take place before the game, started about 12:30 in the new facility there, which is a great new facility. And hopefully there'll be around 60 or 70 people there.
Good number.
Lots of multicultural people that are actually involved in football as ambassadors in the Goldfields region. So these ambassadors are volunteers who have taken on the role to try and promote AFL football in their community. So got a lot of those ambassadors coming onto the luncheon. Also got some representatives from AFL Victoria will be there, some club representatives. So the luncheon will really highlight the strong contribution that multicultural people do make on the game of AFL footy. Obviously, they've got a strong presence in and around the Melton area. So it'd be great to see the luncheon be a real big success, I suppose, and for those people to get along and I suppose recognise the contribution that they do make to football is really important. So hopefully it does go well. We've got and Shawnee, we've also got some of the multicultural people that are actually attending the day. They'll be singing up there Kazali as well.
Oh, fantastic! So
that'll be a really big highlight of the day as well. So looking forward to it, and hopefully it goes well.
Yeah, it should be a great day, of course. And within the Ballarat Football Netball League, of course, our multicultural round. Check out the special themed multicultural round record this week. Getting around a couple of different. We'll have a look at that luncheon within the record as well. We've had a chat with Headley Duhow about his background, of course, the Vice President of the Sunbury Football Netball Club, and of course his son Andrew playing for the Sunbury Lions, the skipper of the team as well, about their background in footy. We also caught up with Western Bulldogs hero Jason Johannesson after kicking that winning goal against the Swans on the weekend, just to catch up with his background as well, obviously coming over from South Africa when he was a youngster.
You caught up with him personally?
Caught up with him personally.
Gave
him a hug. Quite happy to do that as well. So, yeah, it was good to see, obviously, Jason Johannesson being a Bulldog supporter myself, and with the ties that they have with the city.
He's been fantastic, hasn't he, from a football point of view? He
has.
He's excited to watch, and obviously, he spent 8 weeks out of the game and come back on the weekend and won the game for you.
He did indeed, but we're digressing. Let's get back into the BFL landscape for this weekend. Round 12 we're up to in the BFL senior competition this week, in a pretty big first game of the round. Lake Wendouree taking on Darley at the Wendouree Reserve. The Lakers undefeated at the moment, but they didn't necessarily have it all their own way, especially after half-time against Melton last week, where the Bloods gave them a huge scare. And Darley, we know, back on the winners list last week, and they'll be looking for this as a scalp. You get that feeling that Lake Wendouree probably have to drop one sooner rather than later, and I've got a feeling that, look, this could be the week.
Yeah, I think they'll drop this one, Sean. I'm tipping Darley here. The reason being is because they've got a couple of injury concerns, though, Lake Wendouree. We know that Latoure, who's hurt his knee. Pitson's gone down with a side strain, so obviously Andrew's been fairly prevalent up forward for Lake Wendouree this year. As a
leading goal kicker in the league at the moment.
So he's going to be out for a few weeks, so they'll miss him. And I just think Darley, based on their second half on the weekend, can travel up and win the game. I still think Lake Wendouree are the team to beat this year, so a loss for them won't be a bad thing at all, I don't think. So they need to play. Lake Wendouree need to make sure they play their best football at the right time of year. So whether that's having a bit of a lull at this time of year, they probably can afford to. They're a couple of games clear on top. You don't want to. You don't want to.
You don't want to
do that. Not at all. You want to play your best football every single week. But the fact is, it's really hard to do that. So they just need to get a few guys back over the next month and make sure they're up and going come September. So it's a great luxury to have. Really,
it is.
They'll probably finish on top. So I think Daly can win this game though. Just if Jake Edwards plays, their second half of the weekend was fantastic. So they really need to win to obviously cement their spot in sort of the top 6, and I reckon they can do that.
Be a very interesting game as well. Lakers obviously going along very nicely at the moment. I still think they've got enough even in that side to really take it up to Daly on the weekend, and you're a brave man tipping against Lake Wendouree at the moment. Bacchus Marsh in action this week at Mattingley Park, taking on Melton South, and Melton South travelled down the highway last week and weren't actually all that bad against Ballarat. Gave them a bit of a scare early on, but different story against Bacchus Marsh, who are up and flying at the moment, and will very much be looking to this as a potential percentage booster, which could come in handy given that logjam of clubs between 2nd and 5th on the ladder.
Yeah, I just think Bacchus Marsh will be far too strong. We know they've played great footy at home this year. I was really impressed with the way they played against Sebastian on the weekend. Cupido, he's such a dangerous target up forward. I just can't see Melton South sort of getting too close here at all.
Sunbury taking on Ballarat at the Clark Oval. Important game for the Lions, who have lost their last 3 now and are on a bit of a skid at the moment, and they'll be looking at this game just to kind of just halt proceedings a little bit, get themselves back into the basics, get themselves back onto the winners list and regroup from there. But it won't be easy. Ballarat have been okay this year, and especially in the last few weeks, where got a good win last week and pushed some sides before that as well. So Sunbury need to be switched on.
Yeah, I think Sunbury will bounce back here and have a win, Shawnee. As you said, I think that the beauty about the competition this season is that no one's an easy beat.
No.
And if you're prepared to take the foot off the pedal a little bit and you don't turn up to play, you're going to get beaten. So look, Sunbury need to make sure that they get back to the footy they were playing a month ago. I saw them have a great win here against Redan about a month ago at the City Oval. Since then they've really struggled. So I think they can get back to the winners list this weekend. I'm assuming they will. Ballarat, as you said, they've been competitive at stages this year, but they'll be probably have their work cut out this week a little bit going down there.
Yeah, I think you might be right with that one. Interesting game at McPherson Park this week as well. Melton taking on Sebastopol. Got to look at Melton on the weekend as well for basically from about the 20-minute mark of the third quarter onwards, and they really took that game up to Lake Wendouree on the weekend. Brad Murphy, obviously very impressed with his players after the game, was bemoaning a few decisions that were made both by his players and by the umpires, which can't be helped at times. But I reckon if Melton bring their best footy this week, they've already beaten Sebastopol once this year, so they know they can do it. And whilst Sebastopol travel down the highway, confident that they can get this game, I've got a feeling that Melton turned a bit of a corner on the weekend, and they'll want to get this game to keep that flickering finals flame alive.
Yeah, for sure. I think Melton's performance on the weekend against Lake Wendouree is really good. They go into this game with a lot of confidence. I think they were pretty stiff not to win that game on the weekend. And Brad Murphy, look, he's done a really good job as coach, and have certainly improved under him. And they've still an outside chance to make the final. So that's a must-win game for them. I think they'll be too good. They've
just got to make sure they switch on early. Sebastopol have started games well this year. And Melton, if they underestimate Sebastopol here, they could find themselves behind early and have to come back from behind like they did on the weekend, which they did well. And that's not what Murph will want. He'll want to control the game from the opening bounce. And then the big one this week, the match of the round at the City Oval, Redan taking on North Ballarat City. Really, really good game this one's going to be, and this could almost decide a double chance at the end of the season, given how close these two are on the ladder.
Yeah, it's a really good game. I think Redan are
flying under the radar a little bit.
Look, we haven't really spoken about them too much this year. We did speak about them at the start of this year to say that they had a really slow start of the year, and but they've been building. I reckon they're building to finish in that third position. But to finish in that third position, they must win this game because North City is the other side that obviously vying for that third position at the moment as well. I just think that with the game being at the City Oval, it's going to be fairly wet. I just think that the City Oval provides a great advantage for Redan. Know the ground really well, and just based on the way they've been playing the last 2 or 3 weeks, I reckon they'll beat North City.
Yeah, Redan looking very good at the moment, but North City a big win on the weekend, and it'll just be how they handle the heavier conditions here than what they're used to at Eureka Stadium.
Yeah, if the games at Eureka, I'd probably tick North. So I just think that the games here, Redan know the ground very well, be wet. It's a reason for why I've tipped them, Shawnee. Great
to have you back on the BFL Footy Show this week, Liam. We missed you last week, mate, bringing in that expertise that you have about local footy, which is second to none within the region. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Shawnee. Good to be here once again, mate. Looking forward to multicultural around this weekend. Obviously, the luncheon down at Melton. So heading along to a game yourself, mate? Or
Yeah, I'll probably get around to a few, mate,
Yeah.
as I tend to do. Just kind of dot in here and there and show
Beautiful.
the face and shake some hands and kiss some babies and pretend that I'm some sort of royalty when I'm actually not.
No, you are though. You are royalty, BFL royalty.
Wouldn't have thought at all. But thank you for joining us this week, ladies and gentlemen, on the Bear Fanel Footy Show, brought to you, of course, by McDonald's Ballarat and Ballarat Toyota. Thanks to the guys at McDonald's for providing us with our footy that Liam's now going to kick around the office for the next 3 days. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week.
Bye for now.